G'day guys, it's been a while since we've spoken about this awning. I've had it for a while now, I've used it a fair bit. There's a few things I really like about this, there's a few things that, well, I don't. One of them was wild dogs. Obviously with the camp setup that I have, and if you haven't watched this channel before, what it is basically setting up this awning, putting a stretcher out, that's it, done. These are all the extra poles that I have for the awning, and they fit perfectly well inside that bag. So if you're looking to get this awning, that's the easiest way to store these things. I know some people actually store fishing rods and stuff up here. It is like any other 270 awning, I guess, very easy to set up. They say it takes 30 seconds, it probably does. But again, if you've watched any of my stuff before, you know that I really don't care about the whole 30-second thing. Just take your time and enjoy yourself. This thing still smells like campfire smoke. It's easy to set up. This little strap that's here, it's just got the Fastex sort of clip onto it, so you would hook this on one end, hook this on the other end, and that there will tighten it for you. It's dead set simple. With the height of this thing, I generally bring it to about here because I'm a bit of a short ass, and I come over here and set that pole in the middle there. I don't know if you have to do that. I tend to do it so that if it does rain, I'm already halfway there. It goes quite well onto the wedge tail rack here. You've got so many options here to put it. Any roof rack will do it, to be honest. I just like this roof rack. When I've got this much length left over, I'll just tie it up on the end here, just to keep it out of the way. And when I set up camp with this, I'm usually going to drop this one pole. And that's it. I'll put a tie down on that one. That'll do. You don't have to do this. It's only that if I'm staying there for the night and the wind picks up overnight more than what the awning can handle, it's just like an insurance thing that I have going on. Like, you don't have to do that pole. In fact, today with the wind in the trees, I'm going to say it's about 15 kilometers an hour, and this is the Storm Chaser one, so this will take a bit more wind than the regular 30-second awning. You see up the top here, you've got these vents, and what these vents do is as the wind hits the awning, it lets the air through. There's two of them on here, there's one there, there's one here. So this here will take a bit more wind than what the regular 30-second will. And I've had this up in reasonably strong wind, and I haven't really felt insecure about it. So the camp setup that I have, this is it. That's pretty much all I do. I set this up, I put a stretcher there, put a ground sheet down. I did a video on it last couple of weeks of basically how I set it up. The night that I did that video, and I had some issues with wild dogs, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Now, the things that I like about this awning, the price was just awesome. The quality of this awning itself is fantastic. I haven't had a reason to fault it. It has been in the rain, heavy rain, hasn't leaked. There is that gap that's up here. We'll talk about that in a second though. Hasn't leaked. This here I thought was going to be an issue where the this arm goes up and holds up for the rain. It hasn't been. It's all been mint. The setup of this is great. The walls are fantastic. There's only a couple of things I really didn't like about it. Well, I haven't liked about it, and I still don't like about it. One of those things is the cover. Generally don't like the cover. It's not very neat. Like the awning label, the awning branding is quite large, and that's here nor there. I'm not a huge fan of the awning logo on the side of it, but my awning bag has got a couple of holes in it. I don't know if it's a problem with the awning bag itself or a problem with the courier company. Do a couple here, just there. There's a couple of holes just there, one there, another one there. Now these, I noticed, and I think there's one on this part here too, up here, another one there, and I think that's from the courier company because it arrived like that. It's not the end of the world, it doesn't leak, I'm not at all upset by it. in that regard. There's another one just here. See, just there. And it's on the edges up here as well. It's on the edge, just there you can see it. Even the awning's starting to come through a little bit there. Now, like I said, I don't think that's a fault with the actual awning or the bag itself. I think it was just the way it was transported, to be honest. Another thing with this is when it's wet, and this will be just like any other awning, when it's wet and you pack it away, it packs away just fine, goes into the cover just fine when it's soaking wet. It's just then you've got to pull it out again at some point when you get home or at your next campsite, when it dries out a little bit and air it out. You don't want this thing to go all mouldy while it's all wet. But the biggest problem that I have with it is not to do with the awning as such, it's to do with the way I camp. Where I'm filming this today is on the Murray River. That's the Murray River right there. Ripper spot, no problem with this camp spot, absolutely love it here. A few weeks ago, just after the Australia Day long weekend, on the Sunday I went up to the high country, the Victorian high country, and I stayed at around Sheepyard Flats there, around that sort of general area. And we had some wild dogs. So picture this, I'm sitting over here, or not sitting, I'm about midnight. I'm sleeping over here on my stretcher with the swag. It's just a regular swag. I'm all exposed to anyone. You can walk up to me in the middle of the night and slap me across the face. That's how exposed I am. Doesn't bother me, I couldn't care less. I'm generally on my own wherever I go, so it doesn't matter to me too much. But I woke up one night, or I was woken up one night with growling, thought I was dreaming, woke up and there's a friggin' dog right there growling at me. It's probably growling at me, snoring. And it was a good sized dog. It was about the size of a German Shepherd, so its face was about that far from my face. It was an absolute cure for constipation right there. I jumped up, made a big friggin' noise, I won't tell you what I said, the dog pissed off. I jumped to the back of the vehicle, flipped on all the lights, I've got lights all around the awning and stuff, and shot light out. About half a dozen dogs racked off into the bush. And that put the wind up me just a little bit. I got into different Facebook groups for the Victorian high country, and it seems to be that there's quite a few dogs up there at the moment, wild dogs. They call them high country dingoes or some bloody thing. They're just feral friggin' dogs. They're people's dogs who were domesticated, have got away, and they're just breeding up there in the high country. What I did that night, because I sleep really heavy, if I went to sleep again in that spot, who knows what was going to happen. If the bloody thing was that close to me, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So I packed up all this stuff. That's another good point about this. It took me like 10 minutes to pack everything away into the back of the vehicle. Jumped in the car and started heading out of that camp area. On the way out, I reckon I passed about 20 friggin' dogs, and there was no one else around. They weren't pets, they were wild dogs. Which leads me to the biggest issue that I have with this, and it's not the awning, it's the way I camp. So I'm a little bit insecure about going up to the high country again because I do it all solo. So what do? So the solution for me is not readily apparent. There's a few things that I'm tossing up the idea of. One, I'm nearly 50 years old and I'm not going to jump up into a rooftop tent. We've had that discussion before. Two, I've been contemplating just putting a camper on the back of this, and some of the campers that are out there are just ridiculous. I'm just blown away. I'm going to head down to the Caravan Expo next week in Melbourne and have a look at all the different campers. I'm just blown away by what's available out there now. But my mind's not made up about, do I want to tow something when I'm going somewhere? And there's a few things I've got to consider with that. One is, how often am I going to go to the high country? How often am I going to go to places where I really can't tow something up there? Like through the bush out here, I could tow a freaking caravan, it wouldn't matter. But I'm still planning that. So if you've got thoughts about camper vans, or camper trailers, I should say, not camper vans, but camper trailers, and you go out a fair bit, let me know what you have. Help me out with researching this bad boy. There is another option in the interim though, and that option is a tent. 30-second awnings make a tent to go off this awning. And the way that tent will work, it just goes onto these zippers, so it'll go from this corner here to this corner here. It'll take up this whole panel and go out. I think it's about 2 meters. It's kind of like a dome that comes off the side here. I haven't seen anyone reviewing it yet, so I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be all waterproof and everything else, but time will tell. The camper van is anywhere from bloody 10 to 30, 40, 50, 60 grand. Some of them are just horrendously expensive. The tent's like 190 bucks. So I'm thinking I might be getting one of those just to do those sorts of trips, to feel that little bit of security. The dog's not going to try and claw through something. It's going to try and scavenge something. It's not about to attack through a tent. So I can sleep as heavy as I want. So I may well do that. Let me know your thoughts, if you think that's a good solution or not. I really like the solution that I have, but the dogs, I tell you what, at midnight, getting woken up by that, it scares the shit out of you. Now, I'm not even inclined to try that again. So anyway, let me know what you think. Should I put a tent here? What sort of caravan, camper van do you have, camper trailer? And are you happy with it? Are you not happy with some of it? Anyway, give me some feedback, guys. I'm kind of a sponge at the moment for information on camper trailers. All right, catch you later.